The HOA typically handles communal responsibilities, which can vary from
All
to a
right, sorry.
fund for the HOA to have an
They
operating
collect your
budget.
money.
In the US, the typical home in an
Then they
HOA
use
pays
it.
between $200 and $300 per month in fees. HOAs have the authority to hand out fines to residents in the community that the association feels is not following the rules.
That's
Those
where the
fines may
problem
also accrue
begins.
interest in some cases.
Mhm.
The Innistroses' annual dues for their HOA in Noonan, Georgia is $200 per year, which is lower than the national average. So on paper, their
That's
HOA
nothing.
membership doesn't seem like that much of a financial burden, but that's not been their reality.
So that's an interesting thing, right? Because it's $200 a year. If I was working with a client, I'd be like, it's just $200 a year. Like, it's not a huge deal. But the rules and regulations and the power of the HOA, and we're going to find out how bad it is here in a minute. But that it could be a problem. So we'll see. Emily said, yes, but they should be voted on. I've seen some new rules and regulations signed and recorded well after the initial governing documents were established. Yeah, so they can change the rules and stuff. So that's kind of problematic. Because they could change the rules after you buy the property. And what if you don't like the rules? You're going to have to sell your house? You're going to have to move your family? Woo!
Moved.
And then especially, like, for example, if you bought your house with low interest rates and now the interest rates have gone up, you really can't sell your house. If you buy a new house, it's going to cost you so much more to get a loan. So you're kind of like stuck unless you want to take a big financial hit for no reason other than Karen down the street made new rules that you don't like. Obviously, the board all has to get together to make that, but still, it's kind of a problem. Yeah, she said, yes, that's correct. Okay, let's continue.
In 2008, we found out that there was a balance that was attached to the home because it had been sitting in the community, and they were fining us for that balance and late fees and any other type of fines that they would put onto the home for lawn care or anything. All of that.
So what she's saying is when she bought the house, it already had a balance. My issue with that, though, is that this is what you have title insurance, and your title search for should figure that out. But HOAs don't file usually, like, well, they can file a lien, but when do they choose to do so and stuff like that? That could be an issue. I'd have to talk to a title professional, but I would think that this might be covered under title insurance if that was before you purchase your property, that it had this HOA balance. Like, why would I become responsible for it? This is edited and stuff. Maybe they talk about that, but that's a question I would ask.
That was attached to this home when we moved in.
From 2008, 2014, we tried getting in contact with the HOA, and we never had a reply from them. And we just kept trying and no answer.
But
all right, that's definitely a problem that I've seen and experienced, is like these HOAs, especially the real cheap ones or like just poorly ran ones, they are still using like paperwork instead of computers to keep track of the records. They're only working there one day a week or whatever. They only have a certain window where you can communicate with them. The records are horrible, and that will become your problem, not theirs. And that's definitely a big issue. Emily said it should be on the HUD-1 as the seller's responsibility. Yeah, but say, like, for example, if they have a balance, but no one detects there was a balance, and somehow they're able to close on the property, and then thereafter, the HOA says, hey, there's a $5,000 HOA balance due on this property, and now it's your responsibility because you bought the house. That could be a title, like that's going to be an issue, because that's what we're talking about here, is that incompetence from the HOA will become your problem, right? So that's probably one of my biggest issues, and I don't know how they get away with it. The law needs to get fixed about this.
By August 2015, the HOA put a lien on the Inestrozas' home. In the court documents, the HOA said the Inestrozas owed more than $1,600. A lien is when a party has a legal claim to an asset, such as a home, which can serve as collateral to satisfy unpaid debt. This can open the door to the HOA escalating to the next level of debt
I gotta
collection,
go lien
such as
somebody's
foreclosing on
property.
the home, or in the Inestrozas' case, garnishing wages.
In mid 2015, they started garnishing my wages. The first time I learned of that,
To get a wage garnishment is crazy, because, and I've had to do it. You have to go. So first, you need a judgment against them or a lien or something like that, and then you have to take that and you have to do all this filing to get a wage garnishment, which then they take it to your job or wherever you're employed, and they give them a court order saying that your employer has to give a certain amount of money to the court, which then they give to the creditor of the lien. Emily said, yeah, so shouldn't you have title insurance? They should be filing a lien on the property. Right. So they probably didn't file the lien until after she closed on the property. And so maybe title couldn't find it. Maybe title's off the hook for the title insurance on that. But then if they didn't file a lien, how could it become my responsibility post closing? Because I did all my due diligence. You should have to go after the other person. But the problem is property liens stay with the property. And so, if you have a lien on a piece of real estate, if someone else buys it, they have to clear that lien, regardless of how it got there, which is why I got to file this lien.
was when I got my first paycheck that they garnished. I didn't get any prior notice. I got a notice,
She got
2
notice.
weeks after.
Even
No
though
way.
the HOA
It's
was
impossible.
collecting from Jules' paycheck,
That's
invoices
cap.
filed with the court showed they were
Not the
adding
cap.
fines rather than deducting from the overall balance. By December 2016, the
That's
HOA
nasty.
said the Inestrozas owed more than $4,300.
In 2016, I decided to go into debtor's court.
This is how race can kind of get involved, right? Like, why are they doing that to her? And I'm not saying that is or wasn't, because maybe she was negligent on getting some of the notices and stuff like that. But like, it can be a tool to, like, because they're so poorly ran. Even small cities and municipalities, like if you know the right people or they just kind of don't like you, all of a sudden you didn't receive the notice, so they're going to fine you, and then they're just going to do like little stuff that they don't have to do, but they can technically. And there's little gray areas, and these HOAs are, again, some of them are really well run and all that kind of stuff, but a lot of them are ran by people that they're just people, and they have to be residents and all that stuff a lot of times. So they're not super qualified, so it'll be all messed up, and they can be biased against you, which opens you up for a multitude of reasons to be discriminated against.
My attorney and the HOA's attorney came to an agreement that I would pay $3,200. We paid in installments, and we finally paid that off in January of this year.
But it seemed like never got to the management or the homeowner situation. Just adding fines and adding interest. That's all they were doing.
So they were still saying that I owed almost $8,000, while my attorney and their attorney agreed on $3,000.
That's crazy.
Something.
That
The
don't even make
Inestrozas
sense.
estimate that they've paid about $12,000 in fines.
The only way that could make sense is if the HOA just wasn't processing the payments and acknowledging them. But if they both had attorneys, I don't know how that doesn't get sorted out, because that's real crazy. Emily's saying, I was going to say some are well ran or operated through a property management company, so they are less likely to be the sloppy. Yeah. Those are better. And honestly, as an agent, I feel like, I mean, I don't want to speak for other agents. Probably, I feel like I should do more due diligence on HOAs with the client, because really it's an afterthought because you're worried about so many other things. Usually just sign everything with like the HOA, and you might ask what some of the rules are. Hey, can I paint? What do they do? But you don't get into the nitty gritty, and you can get into really bad situations like this. So if you're thinking about buying a home, this is probably informational and enlightening, and you should definitely push to get all the bylaws and really understand what you're getting into. before you purchase that property that has a HOA.
Fines and garnished wages to the HOA, along with thousands of dollars in legal fees to their own attorneys.
This doesn't
The
make
latest
sense.
invoice they received on August 18th, 2023, says they still hold a balance.
Even after paying $12,000, they're still saying that we
Well, why you keep
owe
paying
them
them?
$8,000.
After the past, 23, after the past 10 years. 10 years, yeah.
CNBC reached out to Homeowners Management LLC for comment and received automated responses directing us to contact the current management company as of
Now
August
they change
2023.
companies.
A representative from the current management company, Century Management, told CNBC because it just became the management company for this community in the last couple of months, Century has little ability to comment on historical
don't know.
facts regarding the Inostroza's case. The former director of the HOA board, who oversaw the association from 2020 until her resignation in October
It's a red
2023,
flag, huh?
declined CNBC's request for comment.
They resigned.
The attorneys representing the HOA board did not respond to CNBC's repeated requests for comment.